I remember when I came to church for the big service on Christmas Eve, one of you comes up to me and says, "Well, Rev, you better do good. This is your Super Bowl." And I said, "I guess you're right. You know, if you're a minister, you got to love Christmas, you got to love Easter. But on the other hand, there's 3 weeks ago Thursday, and the weather was bad, it was icy, and a couple of you called me and said, 'Are you going to have church tonight?' And I said, 'Well, I don't know how you cancel church.' So 8 people showed up. And we had church, and afterwards one of the people said, 'You know, Don, it's got to make you kind of mad and disappointed. You know, you put all that work in to get a service ready, and only 8 of us show up.' And I said, 'No. I'm glad anybody shows up anytime to listen to me preach.' And besides, the 8 of us had a very intimate healing service, because I've learned in life that life is not about who's not here. Life is about who is here. And we're here together. Whether it's 58, 108, just 8, it's about being together. And so I came in here this morning, and I thought about what I said, and I realized that's not really true. I stood in the back parking lot this morning. It was just starting to get a little bit light, and you could feel the breeze. It was getting a little bit warmer, and I looked back and I saw the flags, and I saw the pathway and all the names of the people who have gone before. And I realized life is also about those who are no longer here. I stood out in the front, and I looked at our sign, you know, religion is kindness. In the parking lot, there's a handicap parking sign right in the corner. It's kind of where the big parking lot meets the driveway. And there's a lady who has long since left us who parked in that spot every single Sunday morning. Every single Sunday morning. And her ashes are right there in the corner. When I come here in the morning, I look at that little corner and I think about her every day. She's never left my heart, never left my soul. And then I look at the names in the bulletin today, the Barb Bach and Jude Borling and Sue Torsberg and Chris Seth, and they're no longer here. But they are here in the heart and soul of each one of us. Then I looked at the annual report. I talk about exciting reading. And I just read through the things, and I realized that there are so many people over the last 40 to 50 years who have made all that possible. I remember it was Easter Sunday 40 years ago. And that was back in the days when the president of the church council just took the offering home and counted it, because there wasn't very much. And I remember one Easter Sunday afternoon, Lee Harbison, who was the council president, calls me up and says, "Guess what, Don? For the first time in the history of our church, we got $1,000 in the offering. And now we need more than $1,000 a day to meet the budget." But I realize again, life is not just about who is here. Life is about who has been here. And you all know what that's like. Think of all the people that have shaped your life. The people who have led you and inspired you and sacrificed for you and annoyed you. Your friends who are with you, those who have betrayed you, those who have nourished you and built you up. All those people, all those moments are a part of the package when you walk through the door. There's a lot of people out there who are no longer here. And yet, in the heart and soul of each one of us, they very much are here. You know, this morning I'm thinking of all of you. I'm thinking of like Connie Arnold. Jerry died a couple weeks ago. And now she wakes up in the morning and he's no longer there. Oh, but he is. And I'm sure Bill Torsberg, you would love to have your wife here to celebrate her 75th birthday. But she's not here, but she is here. I even thought about Kobe Bryant's wife. And you know, you can be as famous and as rich as the day is long. But when you lose somebody you love, you lose somebody you love. And I'm thinking about her and her 2 daughters missing her husband and their daughter and their sister, and what it's like for them. He's no longer here, but every time you turn on the TV, you know very much he is here. And you know, every day is a Super Bowl in a way. Every time you see somebody who feels like they're a nobody, and you do something to make them feel like somebody, That's a Super Bowl. That's a victory. And that happens all the time when we choose to make a difference in the life of somebody else. Speaking of Super Bowls, 25 years ago, I found myself sitting in this coach's office at North Central College. That was when we were taking Jeremy around to find out what college he was going to go to. And Al, the coach, cross-country track coach, said, if you want to be a part of this team, these will be your priorities. He said, number one is God. That's number one. He said, number two is your family. He said, number three are your grades. And number four is how fast you run. 1, 2, 3, 4. I spent some time with Al this week. We've kept in touch over the years, and he now is facing his own Super Bowl as he deals with stage 4 cancer. So I spent some time with him in the field house where he was coaching his team, and I saw him talk to his team before practice. Talk about a preacher. And then after I said, by the way, Al, how long have you been the track coach? He said, 54 years. And I said, well, I'm catching you. And he said, no, you will never catch me. There was an important meet because every year they're like the defending national champions. And one of his best runners, the day before the meet, comes into his office. And he says, Coach, I need to go home this weekend. And he was nervous. And Al says, why? He says, well, my dad has been diagnosed with cancer, and I got to be there. And the kid says, Coach, what should I do? And Al said, well, you know what I've been preaching to you every day? Number one is God. Number two is family. Number three is your grades. Number four is running. What do you think you got to do? He said, you got to go home. Your dad will not always be there. Track meets are always here. And he went home. Now, I don't know how many more sunrises Al will see. Heck, I don't know how many more sunrises I'm going to see. But I do know that when you or I choose to exude hope to somebody else, that's when the sun rises. When you live what you preach, the sun rises. And every week when we get together, we worship a sun who rises every single day. The Super Bowl kicks off about 5:30. Your Super Bowl and mine kicks off every single day. Amen. If you're able to, please rise for the creed. It's on page 105.